I'm gonna let y'all get a chance to get in before I get started. But this episode of Chiefing with the Chief, Chiefing with Chief Pontiac, is called The U.S. versus Us, Cowboys, Indians, and Outlaws. Y'all might want to share this one. This one I'm just getting a shout out to all of the brothers out there and the sisters that's doing the work to try to get this message to our people of what happened to us and how we end up where we don't got our birthright. So I'm gonna use this device to try to share some receipts with y'all when I start going in. So share, and then share. And then post it on your other social media. Let them know on Instagram, Rod Hayes Live on Facebook. This about to be one that's going to wake you fucking up. You finna wake the fuck up from this one. Because if you don't know we was at war, and you don't know that we was at war against the United States government, and you don't know that they the reason why we lost our identity from trying to hide from their assassins. But you don't even know who their assassins was. We about to get into it. The first thing that we need to understand is the United States is a federal corporation owned by the Crown of England and the Vatican. It's primarily a British holding. It used to be two corporations. It used to be the Virginia Trading Company and it used to be the Northwest Trading Company as the overseers of what they called the 13 colonies. And in the course of this, these two corporations merged in what we know as the Revolutionary War. They told us, hold on, I'm looking up a receipt right quick. So what they told us that the Indians was scalping the paleface, cowboys. And they told us that it was some people with they call Native Americans now. We call them $5 Indians because they was created by the Dawes Roll and the Dawes Act. For a fee of $5, they entered them on the roll. It was a Trail of Tears when they switched us out with the $5 Indians under Andrew Jackson. Right? Now, the receipt I was just looking up was Genghis Khan's descendants. Now, I told people on the Young Elder show, I said, look, the Moors was called Etruscans before they became Moors after King Maurice of the Ottomans. And these Moors was at war with several different subgroups of people. They was at war taking prisoners of war from the Huns, as in Attila the Hun. They were at war with the Khans, as in Genghis Khan. And they was at war with the people of India called the Vedics. And these are the people that made up the European slave class. And then they had the Indo-European, no, the Neo-European is the correct term. Neo means new. They had the Neo-European offspring that they had in the harems that they amalgamated with and created what we call today the Khazarians. The Khazarians is from a place in Europe called the Prussian Mountains. The Prussian Mountains was once called Khazaria. The Prussian Empire was a post Roman Empire that rose up prior to modern day Russia. We had strong support in our wars with the French, Portuguese, the Dutch, the Spanish, the Italians. We was fighting all of them niggas. They wasn't pale faces yet. Pale face don't start making it over here until like the 17 and 1800s. The first wave they brought over, when they tell you that they had slaves on the Mayflower. Well, you got to know the people that was on the Mayflower, which was known as the good ship Plymouth. When Malcolm say we didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on us. That's what he was talking about. So they had the 3 ships that came before them with Columbus, the Pinta, the Nina, and the Santa Maria. These 3 ships was led by niggas. But see, they wasn't called niggas. We gonna go into the history of how we got to be called niggas, because we wasn't called niggas, we was called naggas. And they know who we were, and they waged war against us because all of the high chiefs was in what was called the between life cycles. That means there was no high chiefs on the land, and that they outranked them in the lodges by ranking system. Because there was no high chiefs, they didn't respect the chiefs that was in training, learning to rule as the chiefs. Now, the people they brought over here with them, we call them today Native Americans and $5 Indians. If you go to Google, and if you think I'm playing, you can do it, but I'm about to pull it up for y'all 1 second. And you say, how many people, men, are descendants of Genghis Khan? Now, the basic statistic is that it's 1 in 200 people that descend from men that descend from Genghis Khan following his Y chromosome, right? Now, notice we over here, we have what was called the Amaru Khans in southwestern United States. It was an amalgamation of the Chinese royal families under Genghis Khan, under Kublai Khan, and the rest of the family that was marrying and intermarrying into the old Mississippians. And the old Mississippians is the Earth Root tribe. Now, Genghis Khan had a ridiculous amount of offspring, and his son Kublai Khan, who was his successor, also had a ridiculous number of offspring spread in the Y chromosome of the Khans. But they was not the Lee family. The Lee family is an entirely different group of Asians that was chocolate color with straight hair. They married into the lines in the after Columbus's settlement, when they came in to assist with the construction of the railroads, the iron workers of the railroads, and they made truces with the railroad Mississippians, them 7-foot tall, muscle-bound Crips, them 7'4" muscle-bound Bloods, but they wasn't called that at that time. They was just the old Mississippians. They was the Toltecs. They was the Maya. They was the Inca. They were the Aztecs. They was the how you say that word in the native tongue? Nah, which is the people. Just like when they came in with the Spanish language, they couldn't pronounce the way that we pronounce our words. And that's why in our Southern drawl, we have a whole different descriptive analysis of our communication with these people. So you see, me and Young Elder was doing the City Slicker Country Boy Code Flip Tribe Talk in the public, in everybody's face, so that y'all could see that just because he a little bit of country and just because I'm a little bit of city don't mean we don't know who he is, and that we know the lingo of the tribes, even when we move into modern times using a foreign language, a foreign spiritual concept called religion that didn't exist over here prior to 1492. We was one with nature, one with the earth. Under Father Sky, we roamed across Mother Earth. And at any given time that we needed to call the ancestors, we looked to the sky and we spoke to the great father who walks with the black dog on his heels. For those who don't know what that is, that's the Osirian connection. In your biblical Greek, the word for heaven is Orionos. We talking about the great hunter Orion, which when he's in physical form on earth, he becomes the great father who walks with a black dog on his heels. And I keep a black dog, and don't make me flip my camera and show you he ain't sitting right here. Right? Now, when they came, they brought Mongolians, Huns, and Vedics to do their heavy lifting for them. It was not for another 200 years when warfare and the ones escaping the plantation was them $5 Indians. They had 2 POW camps set up. One major camp in the north, one major camp in the south. Then the South diversified and opened up several different that became known as the Plantation South. The Plantation South, remember, the first part of the plantation is plan, and the second part is Asian, which comes from a nation. It's a national plan. It's a plan to take over your nation. The plantation became the modern day plant or workers' unions, was what we were guilds. When they got here, we had organized workforces. Our families was named after the stuff that they done. The Bridges family built bridges, right? The Banks family worked at Big Mama Banks, and we had Big Mama Banks all across the land. This is where your outlaws come in. But we're going to get back to the economic hitmen because they come up a little later in this story. So they plotting on how to get and conquer the ones of these nappy-head Negroes out west. We talking about your Pyrus. We talking about your rolling 60s, your rolling 20s, your OG blood sets, right? Your treetop Pyrus. All of them is ancient clans. The name reveals who they is when you know what side of the family lineage they coming in on. And the trick is to turn us against each other. So this is one of them ones where the OGs out west sit the YGs down and say, this how they did it. This the one right here. This how they did it. So they brought the Mongolians, they brought the Vedics, and they brought the Huns that was in captivity. This is your Mississippi Masala story. Shout out to Denzel, because King Kong ain't got shit on me. Because motherfucking Gorilla Grodd, GD Rod, is knocking on this bitch today. So when they get over here and they are switching us out. Now remember, these 3 groups that they brought have similar spiritual practices and backgrounds. They've been misled by their captives that bringing them over here in a hostile manner. Remember, It takes 90 days to get from Africa to the nearest point in the Americas. It takes 2 weeks to get from Europe to America. What's more practical, to bring your slaves from Africa or to bring your slaves with you that you already have in captivity in slave villages called ghettos? Ghettos don't originate over here. Go back to Warsaw, World War II. Who lived in the ghettos? It was the so-called Jews. But them ain't the Jews. They moved up north into Switzerland. This is why when they had that last war in France with the Swiss, they all went into them underground tunnels over there. The whole country of Switzerland didn't even know that they had a whole bunch of darkies with kinky hair walking around in the tunnels under their feet while they was the neutral territory. The only reason they neutral because they was fending us off, putting us against each other on both sides, the east versus the west, the north versus the south. The south will rise again when it never failed. It was undermined. It was usurped on a sweetheart swindle. Big Mama got hooked up with a banker, and he was a Scottish Rite 32-degree Freemason. This is your George Washington cherry tree Masonic Moorish code. George Washington didn't chop down no cherry tree. He raped the heir, not the female heir. He raped the male heir because the only way he can stop him from ousting him from the land, because he was the only high chief at the time, is to rupture his root chakra, his cherry, bust his cherry, his dukshu. Babylonian sex magic. Go look it up. Babylonian blood magic. Go look it up. They using all of this against us. Babylonian money magic. They use it and they incorporated it all in the biblical text that they sent a pedophile priest cult over first to rock us to sleep. Because you notice, when Columbus came, he wasn't guns a-blazing. He had to go back and give a report to somebody. They say it was Isabel and Ferdinand, but they was beheaded. So we know they was in cahoots with the Dirty Moors, because that's why they got beheaded. But then you still got these uprisings all across France, Italy, Portugal, and Spain, trying to get rid of these motherfuckers that's coming over here. The first stop they was stopped at was northwestern Africa, aka Al-Maghrib. There was no Morocco, there was no Libya, there was no Tunis. None of them countries existed when Columbus came here. That was a broad territory of land called Al-Maghrib. And then the part that was Afrique was a little river valley stronghold of the traders who sold out Hannibal of Carthage, right? Up there, there's a little river run called Afrique. This is where they got the whole concept to call Africa after the Berlin Conference, because it was a play on Afrique. If you go to the Arabic, the word Ifraka is what they were saying in the negotiations at the Berlin Conference when they divided the continent up over there. Now remember, all the way down into Brazil, coming up into the islands, we've been marrying and intermingling and intermarrying with Africans for thousands of years before Columbus came. So this is why they use the African narrative to disassociate us from the land. But in their science, we not called Africans. In their science, they call us Los Negritos. Look up it. I'm going to pull it up, see what it say. We a whole different genetic stock from the whole of Africa. We were called by these people Los Negritos, right? Then they translated to in modern English as the little niggas. That's what the negrito means, little nigger, in modern English. Now, when they was doing this, we was fighting the Gullah Wars in Florida. We were fighting South America We was fighting Cortez and the hordes that came looking for Cordoba. Cordoba, the city of gold. Cordoba means gold. They was looking for the city called Cordoba. And Cordoba is supposed to have been where we had our gold reserves, and they was looking in the wrong hemisphere. They was looking in South America. But if you go to the Nicolas Cage movie called National Treasure, it'll show you where our gold was kept. And it's still there. It got dust on it because Big Mama shut her bank down. And even the goddamn devil don't want to go up in there messing with Big Mama stuff. He gonna try to trick us into surrendering Big Mama stuff to him so that he can say that we surrendered our birthright. We ain't back down. We ain't quit. We ain't retreat. We didn't surrender. We backed up, regrouped, came a different way to fight a different war. Now, during this time, they had something called U.S., let me pull it up, U.S. Indian bounties. And look what it says. The United States government and colonial authorities offered bounties on Native American scalps and other body parts from the 17th to the 19th century. Now, they came in 1492. That was the 15th century. So from the 1500s to the 1800s, there was a bounty on our head. It's a Spencer Phipps proclamation. In 1755, the Massachusetts Lieutenant Governor issued the Spencer Phipps proclamation, which offered bounties for Penobscot Indians captured and brought to Boston. The bounty was 50 pounds for a living male captive, 40 pounds for a dead male scalp, 25 pounds for a female scalp, and 20 pounds for a child scalp. They was killing the babies like they doing now. Now look, pay attention. This is not denominations known as dollars. Who weigh their money in pounds? Straight motherfucking British. That's British money market value until they switched over to the euro. Now, New Hampshire, 1724, the New Hampshire legislature authorized a bounty of 100 pounds for each male scalp turned in. Women's scalp were worth half as much as men's, and children's scalps were worth half as much as women's. That means it was $100 for a man, $50 for a woman's scalp, $25 for a child scalp. These the people that's running this country that Trump is fighting against. This who they fighting against. The same motherfuckers, they haven't changed. The same motherfuckers that tried to kill Tupac. The same motherfuckers that tried to kill Nipsey Hussle. I got the nigga page when he put the hit on him. I seen it all. His mama told me where to look and I found that shit. So I know the nigga, what he looked like. This nigga walked up on me in the penitentiary in the 90s. And then I see this motherfucker in California with Nip. And then he tried to use my motherfucking rap name. But he couldn't spell it right to break the conjure. Because they thought they was going to trick me into giving them the keys to the house. It ain't going to work because I'm always 10 steps ahead of you motherfuckers. This is chess, not checkers. And what Tupac say? We done seen too many real players fall to let these bitch niggas beat us. Right? So this probably going to be a flagged ass video. So if you're going to put it up on a different channel, you might want to do some beeping or some silent marks on some of the profanity, because I'm cutting loose on their ass today. Now, California, remember, we got these Bloods, these Crips, these Cholos, these Vatos, these Lokes, all out there in Cali. At one point, California offered a bounty of around $25 for a male body part and $5 for a child or a woman. It goes on. That's not all of them. The U.S. Dakota War 1862 bounties. Indigenous People Day off reminder, and that ain't it. Phipps Bounty Proclamation, Upstandard Project. The California Indian Scout Bounty. Scalping, Wikipedia. Now, they've been telling us that the Buffalo Soldiers, right, was some other people. How is you a Buffalo Soldier and you ain't from where the Buffalo from? First of all. So, the Black Buffalo Clan is the stealth priests responsible to defend all nations whose totem animal is the great buffalo called the shaman. He was pale-facing a motherfucker, but he came and sat behind that desk, and he only had to be there for 1 minute, and he sat there for 5. And the police let him in. And the DC police let him in. All them people that they talking about was insurrectionists on January the 6th was let in and gave a whole tour by the motherfucking Capitol Police. And when they was leaving with podiums and shit, that was called capturing the ship. For those who don't know, Battleship is a game that we used to play back in the 70s and the 60s. Well, I started playing it in the 70s. I was a little boy because I was born in the late 60s. But we sank their battleship that day. It was over with that day. Now, we just going through this to make sure that y'all know what happened. Because only by y'all knowing what happened will y'all understand what we doing when we reclaiming the land. When Sipico put the Pope on notice, she said, the chiefs have been selected across the land. Govern yourself accordingly. And he was froze because he knew that she was not playing. What'd he do? He went back to the Vatican and sent back a response. Discovery doctrine rescinded. That means every piece of paper founded on the Discovery doctrine, including your United States Constitution, your secondary corporate constitution, including your right to settle, your white man's birth, all that was rescinded under the Discovery doctrine. The only problem was they keep calling us minors. They ain't talking about coal miners. They ain't talking about gold miners. They calling us minors because in law, a minor means you an imbecile in law. Cali with me, though. I ain't worried about it. Cali with me. They ain't playing. Look, when I told them hit them in the pockets, what the OGs say? Look, under Cali law, the legal beagles talking out of the system now. Under Cali law, you know if it's more than 300 people, that's considered a riot, and nobody can get more than 30 days for a riot, participate in the riot, because it falls under the control of irresistible impulse. And the supporting document is a book called The Crowd by Gustave Le Bon, where he say that under the influence of the crowd, the individual loses all sense of itself and only can follow the will and the power that the crowd drives him in. Hello, critical mass, 100 monkey effect, bust them in they badussy. That's what you do. 100 monkey effect. Bust them in they badussy. So what they do? 1,000 niggas in Nordstrom. 1,000 niggas in the jewelry store. 1,000 niggas on the train. That's mob action. That's mob action. That's MOB. That's mothers over bitches, we say. Right? Mothers over bitches. We love the mothers, but we don't give a damn about a bitch. Because they sent them slimy bitches in to undermine us and get us caught up in these child support cases, in these sex cases, and all of these fabricated molestation cases, while they protecting the pedophiles that's coming into the schools dressed like women. All the time, this motherfucker got a beard thicker than mine, a mustache and eyebrows thicker than mine, talking about he don't know if he a man or a woman, and he in a dress reading books to your kids in the name of the goddamn Statue of Liberty, drag queen, pedophile, priest cults from Rome. This the fall of Rome. Babylon been failed. I've been told y'all that. I announced the fall of Babylon in 2018, 2019. So Babylon over with, and this is the last grip that we breaking. Soon as y'all understand the United States is not our government. The United States only want us to vote. Your vote don't mean nothing. They don't want the voter. They want the organizer, so they can know who to pay off, who to bribe, who to give benefits to keep the rest of the niggas under control, and it ain't working no more. Because even the ones who they thought didn't see their game, peeping their game now, they're like, hold on, there's some new group of chiefs coming up, and these motherfuckers is beating their chest like some real gorillas. They like some George Jackson, Soledad Brother, Black August type shit. Niggas like that. The quintessential destructive force of nature, all in the form of pure intelligence. We don't have to beat up nobody. All we got to do is get our clans to know what's going on. We ready. We ready. Ship this out west. Let them Crips and them Bloods dissect this for the YGs. Let the OGs break this down. The triple OGs break this down for the YGs. Let them know what I'm talking about. Pull the receipts that I'm calling out while I'm calling them out, and y'all see this shit clear as day. They can fool a whole bunch of people, but they can't fool me. My mama told me a long time ago, it's okay to be fooled, but don't be nobody's damn fool. Right? So I took the fool's journey and became the fucking hero at the end of the tarot deck, when I started off as the zero and ended up sitting in the emperor's seat. Right? Making sure that the empress is well situated. Y'all don't know what's going on. I'm telling y'all what's going on. The white hats, Jefe Blanco. Right? Everything they use to tear us down, we had to use it to come up. Jefe Blanco, the one with the white suits and the white hat, that's the Naval Guard. The brass in the Navy wear white. The brass in the Army wear green. The brass in the Marines wear navy blue. The brass in the Air Force, they wear white over black, I believe it is. Right? And then your National Guard wear Army colors. If you see our Army dispatch on domestic soil, that means that they have been sheep dipped by the National Guard. Because what's about to happen is the largest eviction in the history of the planet. And we ain't talking about evicting them from America. We talking about evicting them from the planet. They didn't already ship thousands of motherfuckers, if not millions, off world. Because they can't die here no more. They got to go. So now we just dealing with the henchmen and the minions, the coverers, the ones who was the facilitators for the dirt. And the ones that was sitting at the freak-off parties, seeing everything going on, but they too much of a bitch to say something. They gonna bitch up. My mama say the sealer is as bad as the stealer, right? That means that if you are sitting there with a motherfucker that's stealing, and y'all get caught, you just as bad as him. They call it accessory in law. You can be accessory to the fact, after the fact, or before the fact, but an accessory is an accessory, and you can still get life if the crime is right. The game is over. Look, when the La Costa Nostra came over here, the children of Hannibal or Carthage was exiled from Italy by the Etruscans after the Carthaginian wars with the Romans. When they exiled them, they exiled them to the island of Sicily. So they sent us Mario Puzo so he can write the Godfather movie. So you can see the structure and the order of a family that's ran by a single individual. Right or wrong, it don't matter what he's doing. He's protecting his family and he's feeding his family off the fat of the land. They sent that over here for a reason. It's a reason people say that Biggie and Tupac was tied into two different mafia families. That Rolex ain't no coincidence. That Mickey Mouse Rolex, the double up, and that ain't no coincidence. Right? This is not a happenstance. This is a well-orchestrated plot of all of the Earth tribes from around the planet that met up at the Bang Dong Conference. Look it up. Right? Look it up. Y'all don't know who that is, do y'all? I'm gonna wait till he see this video, and then he gonna put up. He gonna be like, "Look it up." He used to be a comedian, but he ain't cracking no jokes today. Right? So, in Chicago right now, make the wrong move and you gonna get took off the land the hard way. Them youngsters is being informed by the OGs in the Shy of what's taking place in real time, and y'all don't even know it. Y'all don't even know it. Look, don't worry about nobody from Venezuela. That's MS-13, right? They tied up in truces on the West Coast with Bloods and Crips and Mexican Mafia and all that shit. They tied up in the Midwest with truces with the Vice Lords, the GDs, the Peace Stone Nation. They tied up in treaties with us. They ain't coming to sabotage us. That's the support team. Quiet as it's kept, that's the support team. That's why on Rex 84, under the section known as Operation Cable Splicer, it tell them that if they ever wake up, they got to block the border. But the one who tell you to block the border is telling you where the help gonna come from. He telling you where the aid and assist of the tribes. Fuck that motherfucking military shit. We talking about the tribes of the land. We go all the way from the North Pole to the southern tip of South America. This is Turtle Island, and we coming. You can't stop them. Build a wall if you want to. They gonna find a way either through it, around it, over it, or under it. They coming. You can't stop them. You can't stop them. We got treaties with the Hells Angels, right? This ain't no. They ain't just rolling around on the land for no reason. They used to ride horses 200 years ago. Now they riding motorbikes. Before they was riding Harleys, they was riding something called an Indian. Go look it up. I'm not making this shit up. Then the Lawndale district, before the Vice Lords became Vice Lords, they was called Outlaw Vice Lord Bikers. That ain't no coincidence. Young Vice Lord told me I ain't know what I was talking about. 2 days later, I dropped the receipt on my Morpheus page. It's over there. Go look it up. Right? So, it don't matter. I know everything going on the land. I know all of the tribes. I know right now about the continuity of government, about to come out and expose this shit. The motherfucking Orange Man, because they remember they flashed the White House orange the other day. Who is Agent Orange? That's Donald J. That's Howard the Duck. That's Donald the Duck. Right? That's Agent Orange. Because when negotiations get on you, you can't get that sucker off you. Right? I've been watching him for years, ever since Tupac flipped him to me. Because I don't trust none of them. And he's second cousins to Hillary Clinton. We needed somebody on the inside that didn't like what was going on and took sides with us, and it was him. Because they look like Indians they don't look like Indians to him, and they don't look like Indians to us, and we the Indians. I'm just saying, you got to be able to see through this bullshit, because it's all a big facade. The government is a fraud. All of their laws is made up to interfere with our natural life process. All of the stuff that they made illegal on the land is targeting us specifically. This is why they said we smoke marijuana and we go crazy and rape white girls. Oh no, make a law, make a law. That was just to keep the chief from chiefing with the chief, so that you can see when the chief be chiefing, he be chiefing up on some shit. Right? We be talking about fourth, fifth dimensional mind communication. We be talking about getting the THC and the CBDs to work together. When we get the munchies, the sugar turn into the dirty burn turn into the rapid fire. But because it's saturated with 70% water, the fire gets smothered and let off a bunch of smoke, and the smoke becomes the black soot, and the soot becomes the carbon, and the carbon is autosentient when it turns into melanin, and the melanin can communicate with the carbon. So now we can talk to the dark mother without ever moving from where we at. Wake up now. This shit over with. This shit's so over with that these motherfuckers need to come bow down and kiss my fucking feet so I can kick them in the mouth like the Pope be doing. Let the Pope come kiss my feet. I guarantee you his teeth gonna come out his ass within 30 seconds or less. Let him come kiss my feet. I'll boot his ass from here to Albuquerque. Right? And when he hit the Albuquerque, you know who gonna be waiting for him? A dark man, Chief Zolo. I'm coming. Y'all don't know what I'm talking about. This the culture. Chief Zolo is DMX, the Dark Man X, the unknown man that walked out the dark into the light through the tunnel. Get at me, dog. Right? Flipping the dog pound off the East Coast to the West Coast. Right? Barking back and forth. Remember, Pluto was a dog in Disney. Right? And Goofy was a dog that had a pet dog. Let it sink in. They're telling you the stories all the time. The Califia Queen's replica, after they bombed the castle, they had to build a replica because it had to be accessible to activate the genetic memory of the Califia Queens and make them want to go and back to Cali. Cali got gunplay. Bitches on the runway. So in order to activate the genetic memory, we looking at Tinkerbell putting the pixie dust on the castle. Every time we watch a Disney movie, Tinkerbell say, here it go right here. The Califia Queen's castle is right here. I'm Tinkerbell and I'm here to show it where it's at. And then everybody be thinking that we don't know what we seeing when we looking at it. Just because I ain't say nothing before don't mean I didn't know before. I just didn't tell you before it was time. Paul Messiah said, I'll sell no wine before it's time. And I will tell no truth before it need to be exposed. That's a Masonic code all day long. Then they say they're a traveling man, that mean they're a Mason. They say they're a navigator, that mean they're a Mason. They say that they're a physician, that mean they're a Shriner. Watch out now. They come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, right? But the ones who's pulling the strings, them black ass niggas, now I know why my mama said, I don't like no damn Africans. And I'm like, what the fuck? I thought we was from Africa at the time, but I knew something wasn't right. Then I started noticing that the stuff my mama was telling me was consistent with American tribal heritage. Why is my mama telling me American tribal heritage if I'm supposed to be from Africa? But I don't never remember being born in Africa before. Every time I be born either right here or in the territory of the Sun Wukong. Hail the return of the Sun Wukong. Back from the west, Buddha scrolls in my arms. I went to tame my Sakuma. Now I'm coming back right now. You don't know nothing about that shit. But look. So the government ran us into seclusion by sending contingents to put them between buffers between us, sending infiltrators in to sweetheart swindle the women in order to wrestle the land so that they can institute the sharecropper agreement and turn the family farm into a plantation to maximize the plan for their nation. Y'all need to pay attention to what I'm telling y'all. I'm not making this shit up. I got too many references to prove it. Let the G's know this is a wrap. This is a wrap. Look, if you don't believe me, keep watching. So back to Jefe Blanco. So when they used to be the Black Hand, right, and they wear their KKK regalia, which is they hombre, it's hombre negro something, but it's the Black Brotherhood of Spain. When you look them up, they came over here wearing them white uniforms. So what we had to do in order to overthrow them is we had to invite the people that ran their ass off from over there in Europe over here. Now we gonna have to take some heat from these people too, because they not gonna be able to tell which one of us nappy head, whether it's the Negrito or the Morenos. They don't know by looking at us the difference, right? So they gonna treat all of us the same. They gonna call all of us nigga, which came from the conquistadors calling us Los Negritos. When you go look up Los Negritos, the Negritos is a whole I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up and read it to y'all because this stuff is so it's second. It's like second step now. Genetic stock of Negrito. Unraveling the genetic history of Negritos and Indigenous. National Institute of Health. Let y'all see it. National Institute of Health. It's a unraveling the genetic history of Negritos and indigenous population of Southeast Asia. See, that's where they get you. But that's why Elijah Muhammad said I'm the Asiatic black man, because he's saying we the Negrito stock. We not the niggas, the Morinos, the Moriscos. We are los Negritos, the Asiatic melanated being, the what they call Melanesians, right? It's an indigenous population of Malaysia, known as Orang Asli, or OA, show huge morphological, anthropological, and linguistic diversity. However, the genetic history of these populations remain obscure. We performed a high-density array genotyping using over 2 million single nucleotide polymorphisms in 3 major groups: Negrito, Sonoy, and Proto-Malay. Structural analysis indicated that although the AO group are genetically closer to East Asian populations, they are substantially distinct. We identified a genetic affinity between Andamansis and Malaysian Negritos, which may suggest any ancient link between these two groups. We also showed the Sonoy and the Proto-Malay may be admixtures between Negrito and EA populations. Formal admixtures tests provided evidence of gene flow between Austro-Asiatic speaking OAs and populations from Southeast Asia. So what they're telling you is that the people in Australia they call Aboriginals and have a similar blood lineage to the people from Hawaii, all the way going up into the Ainu people in Japan, going into the Dravidians in India. And these are the people called Negritos that was the same people that's from the genetic stock that we from, as organic, original Mississippi clay dirt walking. And we rose up out of the Mississippi clay dirt because the Garden of Eden, the cradle of civilization, the birthplace of humanity, is in the Mississippi Delta, the Louisiana outlaw into the ocean, into St. Bernard Parish, where that pyramid is under the ocean that they don't want y'all to know about. I ain't making it up. It said elevated linkage, disequilibrium, and enriched homozygosity found in OAs reflect isolation and bottlenecks experience. What that means that over a period of time, you end up with Tongans and Samoans and Hawaiians and Japanese, but they all from the Negrito stock. But because they got isolated into certain groups, then they formed into they evolved into a solidified stock at the geography that they was. In other words, the part of the land of the earth that they was on, they became a stock of people unto themselves through continuously inbreeding with each other and crossbreeding with each other. The people from the area began to form one people. This is what the plan was for America with the Dirty Moors, because they supposed to come marry into our families and we ain't supposed to know it. But they murdering our big mamas, and they telling us that, oh, Big Mama had a heart attack last night, baby. He done poisoned her. 2 years later, he's selling the family farm as a sharecropper. And he all the time, he know we don't believe in selling land. So what's going on here? Somebody ain't telling us something. Right? And then it said the continuum in divergence time from Negritos to Sonoy and Proto-Malay in combination with ancestral markers provide evidence of multiple waves of migration into SCA, starting with the first out of Africa dispersals, followed by early train and subsequent Austro-Amnesian expansions. So they're telling you, they're trying anything they can get this out of Africa thing. They got to get this in the, like the African people are kindred, but they not exactly the same as us. They got different matrilineal lines, but similar patrilineal lines through to the marrying across the ocean. We got to add mixture of that stuff over here. We don't have a problem with Africans. We got a problem with the motherfuckers that divided it up at the Berlin Conference that look like us and blamed it on pale faces. Them the niggas we got the problem with. Not the people in Africa that's being victimized just like we being victimized. They not the enemy. Right? Ibrahim Traore, he won us. Earthborn, original tribe, ain't buying that shit for nothing. Julius Malema down in South Africa, he not buying that. Look, they killed off my man from I forget his name. We got so many of the OGs that they just murdered them. Maurice Bishop. Maurice Bishop was the truest brother that you ever would want to meet in the CIA. This wasn't the KGB. This wasn't Chinese Secret Service. This wasn't the Mossad. This was the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency sent a hit squad down there and murdered that man. Then, turned around, they had a 25-year, under Jimmy Carter gave a 25-year moratorium on CIA-sponsored homicides, assassinations. The first motherfucker they killed when he lifted it was Laurent Kabila. Go look him up. And they was chasing after the brother Jerry Rollins. They was chasing after all of these progressive leaders. They was at Muammar Gaddafi head. The CIA did that. That's why Pac and them went over in Benghazi. Go pull the footage. See who y'all see in Benghazi. Nigga, this some outlaw shit. This how outlaws ride for real. We ain't never going nowhere. We don't got nowhere to go. We from here. We been here. And we gonna be here. This is just the way it is. You know? So, they can tell who they want to. They can call their mama. They can call their daddy. They can call their Uncle Charles, their Uncle Jake. It don't matter to me. They can call their Aunt Susie, their Aunt Barbara, their Aunt Mary. They can call whoever the fuck they want to, but ain't nobody calling these outlaws off their ass now. It's too late. We won. Victory is assured, saith the Lord. Vengeance is mine, saith Big Rod. Let me get my hands around these motherfuckers' necks, and I'm going to show you what brain banging turns into gang banging at the highest levels when I get to slam one of these motherfuckers off the motherfucking gallows. So I don't even want him to hang. I'm going to throw him off the gallows head first, let him crack his melon, and tell him like they told him about me. Oh, Humpty Dumpty fell off the wall. He can't be put back together again. I ain't Humpty Dumpty. I ain't never took the fall off the wall because my potential has never been wasted. Because an egg is infinite potential. And to break the egg before it develops is wasted potential. And all the king's horses and all the king's men will never put Humpty back together again, because once the potential is wasted, it's like squandered money. You can't call it back because it won't come. But if you manage it correctly, the money becomes an infinite seed, a current seed, the current that you see when the goodness flow back into your life. Return of the sweet waters. Oshun speaks. The Oshun priestesses of the Califias and the Chiquita Banana Lady and all of the mascots that they turned us into. We ain't never stopped being here. Go into any tobacco shop in the South, one of them old Indian tobacco shops, and you're going to see a big Tuscaloosa looking Indian in every tobacco shop. That's because we was tobacco chiefs. They didn't have tobacco in Europe. They came over here to get that shit. So what was we doing with the tobacco? We wasn't having all of them toxins on that tobacco. Because nicotine is a neurostimulant, they had to poison it to stop you from smoking. Right? Then they don't want you to know none of this shit. They want you to think everything good for you is poison. That's because everything good for you, they poisoned it. Deliberately, with malice and aforethought and ill intent. The desire was to remove us from the land. If you don't believe me, we can go talk to Ramona Africa. We can sit down and have a conversation with the sister, and she gonna tell you how they did her family in Philadelphia in 1985. She's still here. And she ain't the only one of them still here. They didn't kill them all, but they was unfortunate enough to get rid of John, the mastermind.
10, 14.